For decades, fans of John Denver have cherished his music and gentle spirit, remembering him as the voice of nature, peace, and heartwarming Americana. Songs like Take Me Home, Country Roads, Annie's Song, and Rocky Mountain High cemented his legacy as a beloved folk and country music icon. But behind the soft melodies and environmental activism, a lingering mystery surrounded his tragic death in 1997, a mystery that has finally been pieced together. And the truth isn't as comforting as many had hoped. On October 12, 1997, Denver's experimental aircraft crashed into the Pacific Ocean near Monterey Bay, California. At just 53, his life was cut short in an instant. For years, speculation swirled. Was it mechanical failure, pilot error, or something more sinister? The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, launched an investigation, but the findings were initially technical and vague. It wasn't until recently, through newly released documents, witness interviews, and expert analysis, that the full picture of that tragic day has come into clearer focus, and it reveals a story of overlooked warnings, design flaws, and a man unaware that his final flight would be his last. John Denver was an experienced pilot, but the aircraft he was flying, a Rutan Long EZ, was known among aviators as quirky and difficult to manage. Built from a kit, it required the pilot to switch fuel tanks manually, an unusual feature not found in commercial aircraft. The lever for this crucial task, bizarrely, was located behind the pilot's left shoulder, meaning Denver had to twist awkwardly and momentarily lose sight of the controls to switch tanks. Investigators now believe this contributed directly to the crash. Denver had reportedly run one tank nearly dry, and in an attempt to switch, may have unintentionally lost control of the plane while focusing on the mechanism. The plane then went into a nosedive and plunged into the sea. But the heartbreaking part is this: multiple mechanics and flight instructors had warned him beforehand about the plane's difficult design and advised modifications to move the fuel switch to a more accessible position. Denver, excited to be back in the skies after having his license reinstated, had plans to make the change, just not before that fatal test flight. The official cause was ruled as a combination of fuel mismanagement and poor placement of the fuel selector valve. But deeper questions remain about how such a design was ever considered safe, and why Denver, who had so much to live for, chose to fly that day. What makes the tragedy even more haunting is how preventable it was. Denver wasn't reckless. He was passionate, curious, and eager to reconnect with the skies. Friends say he was in high spirits, working on new music and envisioning a comeback. He loved flying almost as much as music, but it was that very love that ultimately took him. The truth now laid bare doesn't diminish his legacy. It only adds a bittersweet chapter to a life lived with meaning. Heart and Flight, John Denver left behind songs that touched millions, but also a cautionary tale about overlooked risks and the thin line between joy and tragedy.